Yeah, Jack studies history at Durham University and he's going into his third year. And without further ado, I'll just hand over to Jack.
Right, thank you. Right, we'll see if the PowerPoint works. There we go. Okay, so like you know, a little bit about me. I'm at Durham. My college at Durham, there's different colleges. I'm at Castle, little picture there on the PowerPoint. Yeah, I do history, obviously it's humanities, but I have asked some of my friends that do sciences for some of their like tips and advice when we cover kind of the academic side of things. Didn't take a gap year, so I went straight into uni. I'm not doing like a year abroad or anything, but I'd advise when you get to uni, maybe look into that, or a placement year might be something you want to consider. And yeah, I mean, I'm from Leicestershire, which is in the Midlands. That's always something that's quite interesting at uni. You'll get like a north-south divide, and people always kind of debate where the north actually is. But I'd say Midlands for me. So yeah, the presentation is kind of in two halves. One's kind of like living away from home, you know, like independence and kind of like tips and advice on that. The other side is kind of the academic side of things, so like differences to A levels, and yeah, some things that might be useful for you there. Hopefully there's no kind of technical issues, which would be nice. Hopefully the Wi-Fi holds, and hopefully it's better than the last presentation I gave, which was for a history project that didn't go particularly brilliantly. But yeah, so living away from home, unless you went to a boarding school, it'll probably be your first time living away from home for like a long period of time. So I'll cover like what to bring and what not to bring. A lot of it's kind of common sense initially, like you're going to need like a laptop, you know, stationery, books, paper, that kind of thing. Obviously, winter, summer clothes, you know. I'd advise like quite a lot of kind of chill, comfortable clothing. Like it's not a fashion show. After the first few weeks, you'll soon realize no one cares what you wear to your lectures. You'll see the transition from kind of everyone all dressed smart to kind of just like trackies and a hoodie. Portable charger, something that's easily missed, but that's quite good when you're in the library kind of things. You don't want your phone to die. If you wear glasses, bring a spare pair. You'll probably lose it or break it, and it's not something you want to be like faffing about at the optician with. A lot, well, what you're bringing depends whether you're catered or self-catered. So for me, I was catered during my first year, so I didn't have to bring like many cooking things apart from like, you know, plate, bowl, a little bit of cutlery for kind of like a late night pot noodle. But if you're self-catered, you need to think about like pots, pans, you know, what you're going to be cooking with. Generally speaking, you'll have access to like communal iron board and iron. Not that I ever actually used it, but yeah, you don't need to bring that. Again, a drying rack as well for your clothes. Probably a luxury you can't really afford because your room's going to be probably quite small, and you don't want to like have loads of clothes like drying in your room because it can lead to like mold and damp and stuff, which isn't something you want to deal with. And while we're on that kind of topic, remember to open your window quite regularly, because yeah, some of my friends had to deal with like mold and damp, and it's really not what you want during your kind of first term. Bedding, you need to bring kind of like all your own bedding. Like you obviously have a mattress. Yeah, you don't really want to think about how many people have kind of had that mattress before you, so bring a mattress protector, mattress topper, because it'll make it a bit more comfortable. Yeah, they're not the best. And then obviously, you know, pillows, duvet, sheets, etc. You're going to need all of that. I'd say bring like 2 sets of like pillowcases and sheets. So, you know, when you do change them, like do remember to change them at least like, you know, once a term, but probably every week or two. You won't have to wash and dry it all in the same day if you've got 2 sets, which is, yeah, a nice thing to kind of not have to worry about like late at night trying to get your sheets tumble dried. Clothing wise, don't bring like all your clothes up, guys. There's no point, like you'll just be looking at back home at Christmas, you know, think about what's really like relevant and what's not. You'll find you wear the same clothes again and again, like, you know, yeah, it's not a fashion show. Um, and then one thing you might not think about bringing, depends what uni you're going to, but you might want to have like one suit or like a nice dress if there's like a, like a formal or like a Christmas meal or like, house meal or something. Um, yeah. So kind of like, it doesn't matter what type of suit or anything like that, but it might just be an idea to kind of have one if you've got one. So at Durham, they do formals like twice a week. And you might go to one, which is like a big like 3-course meal kind of thing. I have like 2 very cheap suits that I just rotate. I wear a different shirt each time, and a different tie. No one really cares, and no one's gonna particularly judge you. Yeah, I was actually it was on Instagram because there's loads of like reels about uni tips. I'd advise maybe like bulk buying, like maybe shampoo and like toothpaste maybe before you go, because it's probably a lot cheaper than like buying it from the shop around the corner. So yeah, car or no car, next bullet point. For a personal choice, if you can drive. I didn't take my car to uni. City's quite small, no real need. And it's not particularly great car, so it probably wouldn't manage the journey up and down. But yeah, you need to think about like where can you park it, how often are you really going to use it, how often you're going to go home as well. So yeah, but that's kind of up to you, but you probably won't use it as much as you think you would. Like a lot of my friends who brought it up second year kind of found that they didn't really use it very often. Just probably slightly lazy, to be honest with you. They could have walked there. Yeah, like shopping and food and things. I was sort of catered during my first year, so I'm not the best person to talk about it, but I lived out this past year, so I've got some experience, I suppose, at cooking quite badly. Yeah, meal plan, like a little bit of thought can go quite a long way. You can't live off cereal and pesto pasta your whole time while you're there. So yeah, bear that in mind. One thing I did find is like, don't be like lured into like a false sense of security the first few weeks where everyone's like really happy about sharing like tea, coffee, milk, etc. It soon goes pear-shaped. The marker pens come out on the old milk bottles, and the passive aggressive texts come onto like the flat group chat about like who's ate this, whatever. So just like label your stuff, have your own cupboard. I imagine like each person will probably have their own cupboard in the kitchen. Yeah, cross-contamination is a thing when you're cooking. Obviously don't mix meat and like veg on the same chopping board or knife. Don't want to sound patronizing, but it's you don't want food poisoning. Just to spend that extra few minutes washing it, because it's really not worth getting ill over. Washing your things up straight after you use it. Everyone says they're going to do it. Try to as best you can. You don't want to be that annoying person that leaves their things everywhere. And inevitably some people will just like chat to them, be polite about it. But bear in mind, like when exams or big deadlines come up, people have a lot more like on their plate. That's quite a bad pun, but a lot more, on their plate than like, a pot that's been left unwashed. So just like, yeah, don't be too like harsh on them. Alcohol, if you drink, keep it in your room, like your bedroom, because people will, like borrow it and it will never be seen again. Yeah, if you're going to host like a flat party or whatever, sometimes those like plastic red cups in all like American high school movies, they're actually quite good. Means if it gets dropped, glass doesn't go everywhere. You can wash them up, and obviously you can recycle them once they're washed. But yeah, I'd advise that rather than like everyone having a mug. It's just like a recipe for disaster with things going and getting smashed. Yeah, that's probably mostly it. Maybe get like a club card or an Nectar card, whichever supermarket is nearest. You can get quite a lot of good deals and things on that. And yeah, if someone does have a car, drive to like the big supermarket rather than the corner shop. You'll save a lot of money. And yeah, own brand things are probably, you're going to be a lifesaver. you won't know the difference between Tesco's version of Weetabix and actual Weetabix. So, you know, just be sensible and buy the probably cheaper one, I'd say. You're not going to know. And yeah, be careful with takeaways. They can really drain your wallet and you don't realize it. Obviously you can get good deals, but if you've gone on a night out, that kebab or pizza is really not worth it. Like, have toast. It'll save you quite a bit of money. So yeah, your accommodation, obviously different unis have different levels of accommodation. Yeah, you'll have your own room or a roommate. You know, decorate it. You know, pictures from home. You live in there a whole year. You're going to spend a lot of time in there. Hopefully there's no more lockdowns, but you know, yeah, make it your home away from home, I suppose. Just be careful of blue tap marks on the wall. They can be quite strict on that. So yeah, don't like ruin the paint. But yeah, apart from that, get comfortable, decorate it. Cleaning wise, I mean, you'll have your bins emptied like once a week. The bathrooms and kitchens will get cleaned probably once every 2 weeks. I don't know, it depends. But yeah, you don't need to bring a Hoover up or anything like that. There's no real need. I found that even if the room's quite small, like smaller than maybe your bedroom at home, that helped me because it meant you had to keep it tidy. You couldn't just leave like stuff everywhere because there'd be no room. But yeah, you'll be fine. And yeah, you'll have a good time in your room, I imagine. Bathrooms wise, whether you've got an ensuite, if you've got an ensuite, great, you know, lucky you. But if you don't, it's really not that bad. Like the communal bathrooms aren't that bad. There was never really any queues. You'll probably have a sink in your room. So, you know, brush your teeth, shave, you know, get water in the middle of the night, whatever. And yeah, I can't imagine any of you will ever have to queue for a shower. You get quite good at knowing other people's timetables and things, and not everyone's going to make that 9 a.m. So you'll be fine. Just maybe have like some flip-flops or sliders to kind of walk to and from the bathroom. Because yeah, well, it's bathroom floor. So yeah. And remember to take your keys everywhere. I don't know whether it's the same every uni, but the porters or cleaning staff used to lock the rooms after they like emptied your bin. So yeah, you don't want to be caught out, locked out your room. That's not a particularly pleasant experience. Right, laundry. Oh, laundry, it takes me back now. Your company will probably be called Circuit Laundry. I don't know if they have a complete monopoly on all universities or not. But yeah, I had a good like 5-10 minute walk to the laundry room. Not the best in the rain, so kind of pick your moments, I suppose. Don't let it all pile up. Yeah, you'll have a laundry card that you can either top up like online, or there'll probably be machines that you can put like cash in to top up your card. I think it was about £3.50 a wash, and then the dryer was free. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lecture anyone on like laundry and washing and things, but just read the label. Like, maybe don't put your brand new jeans or hoodie in the tumble dryer. They will shrink. And yeah, obviously think about lights and darks. Clothes can run. You don't want to have to complete everything like go pink or anything. But yeah, you can always frantically ring your mum, I suppose, to ask for some advice. Yeah, common sense really with laundry, and you'll probably be okay. Right, roommates, flatmates. You might become best friends with some of them if you're sharing a room, or you might not. It doesn't really matter. Try and be civil. If you are sharing a room, probably like come up with some ground rules about having people over and things, because I suppose it can be annoying. And then again, your flatmates, corridor mates. Some of my best friends lived on my corridor, and then there's other people on my corridor who now I never speak to. But yeah, just try and get on, really. Stay on good terms. It will make the year run far more smoothly, and you'll probably have a better time. So yeah, just be polite and well-mannered, even if they're not your type of people, I suppose. And I put finding a house on there, mainly as like a do not worry kind of bullet point, hence the question marks. By like, maybe November time, people will start talking about house for next year and things. My main bit of advice is like, don't rush. There's plenty of time. There's plenty of like good houses, whatever that means. Despite what the letting agents will tell you. So yeah, pick good people to live with. Don't live with a couple because that's a recipe for disaster. So avoid that, I'd say. But yeah, there's plenty of time to find a house. So yeah, take your time with it, I'd say. Right, next slide. Independence. I'm not going to talk loads about Freshers Week. Some of you could be like the best time of your lives, others it'll be like a tad underwhelming, I suppose. I made some great friends and then some people that I never speak to again. Yeah, but everyone will be in the same kind of situation, a bit nervous, maybe slightly awkward and comfortable. And anyone who appears like totally natural is just putting a very good act on. People can't stay fake forever. Yeah, don't be worried if you don't find like your people straight away. Really doesn't matter. There's plenty of like societies and things to sign up for. Yeah, get good at small talk though on Freshers Week, because you'll be asked what subject you do, what accommodation you're in, where you're from, hundreds of times, and you'll be sick of it by the end. If you're not the going out type of person, there'll be loads of activities to do, like game nights, film nights, quizzes. And if you are the going out type of person, pre-drinks are a great way to kind of get to know people. But yeah, there'll be plenty of drinking games. Yeah, you'll play enough games of Ring of Fire to kind of set you up for life, to be honest with you. But yeah, I'm not going to talk too much about that. Only advice is, if in doubt, just use your left hand to drink your drink with. Probably save you a little bit of hassle. But on a serious note, like, don't feel pressured to drink at all. Like, if you don't drink, stick to that. Know your limits. Obviously have water. If you go out, have a plan to get home, i.e. know where you live. I know it sounds silly, but know the address, know where you can tell a taxi. Don't walk home on your own, walk with friends or people that you know, people you live with. Yeah, just have a plan, whether it be bus, Uber, taxi, walking, whatever, just be sensible. Yeah, don't mix your drinks either, because or drink on an empty stomach. That's another recipe for disaster. Yeah, look out for each other, if anything happens, report it to like your freps or the people running Freshers Week or the university. There'll be protocols, procedures in place for things if things do go badly, but I'm sure they won't. Yeah, the other thing on nights out is have a pair of like battered shoes if you do go clubbing, because yeah, clubs are grim. The floors are horrible. This is especially true in Durham, which is home to Clute, which is Europe's worst nightclub. And it's part owned by Dominic Cummins. So it kind of tells you all you need to know really on that. So we'll move on swiftly. Societies, one of the pictures on the slide there, that's a Freshers Fair. Not very COVID safe. So clearly that was a few years ago now. But yeah, there'll be loads of clubs and things to sign up for. Like, I'm quite sporty, hence the athletics and cross country there. I always play cricket. But yeah, sports socials, some with alcohol, some are like completely non-alcoholic. A great way to get to know people, similar interests. And it's not just sport, there'll be like union, like for debating. I've got friends who've done like really bizarre things like bell ringing, ballroom dancing. So yeah, just give things a go, try something new, put yourself out there. Signing yourself up for a taster, doesn't commit you for life. I've got a friend, she's like an excellent swimmer, really high level at that. Obviously she does that, but then she also tried water polo and surfing, and she's away doing that now as well. So, yeah, try something new. And it's a great way to like meet people, especially first term. it's really, I'd say, more important to kind of be like meeting people, doing things you enjoy. And once you kind of settle in, the work and like actual like studying will get far easier, because, you know, you're having fun. That work-life balance is quite important to kind of strike. Back home, what was I going to say on that? Okay, yeah. Yeah, send your parents the odd text at least, you know, let them know you're alive, you're still doing well. See, maybe the odd phone call. Yeah, feel free to go home for a weekend if you want. Everyone's different. I don't really go home during term time very often. There's no real kind of need. It's only 10 weeks. But a lot of universities have a reading week, so you might want to go home during that. And remember to actually read as well. That's why it's there. But yeah, I didn't personally want to miss out on too many things, but, you know, a weekend at home, so it's a nice change of scenery. And yeah, stay in touch with your friends at other unis, I suppose. Group chats are a great way to kind of share various embarrassing stories that you'll all have. So yeah, that's about it on that, I'd say. Making friends is quite cheesy, but kind of already covered it, I suppose. Just, you know, societies, friends on your course, people you live with. You know, there's so many different people. You'll find people you get along with. Yeah, just keep trying, really. Don't get disheartened if you don't find like people you gel with straight away. Okay, budget and finance. As a history student, numbers aren't really my thing. But yeah, I tried to kind of set a limit on how much I wanted to spend each week. But I suppose I was flexible sometimes. Depends, you got to make a judgment call on it. You'll probably spend more at the start of a term than at the end, because at the end, you know, deadlines and things will be there. So you don't want to, you know, you won't be going out, or you won't be doing as many things. You'll be probably in the library, which means you'll be spending less money. Universities will have a hardship fund if things go really bad. So don't go hungry, basically. Yeah. What else? You can set spend limits on your cards. Might be good. And if you have an overdraft, try make it 0 interest, so you're not charged particularly. But yeah. Also, at the start of the term, might be more like unexpected costs, I suppose. So like sport, like I play sport, I had to buy like an athletics vest, you know, it's not something you initially think about. But yeah, that might be something that crops up. But again, don't feel pressured into buying things if you don't want to, or if at that moment in time it's not really feasible. Part-time work. I have a job while I'm at home. I work as a waiter, very badly though, I'm quite clumsy, which doesn't help. I also do private tuition, which is a great way to kind of be flexible, make a bit of extra money. But yeah, generally universities recommend not working more than 10 hours a week. So if you are wanting like a part-time job during your time at uni in the city, bear that in mind. You are there to study and, you know, have fun. But yeah. And then lastly, I suppose for this half, welfare, mental health, university will have things in place, you know, don't suffer in silence. Yeah, reach out. And, you know, there's a GP as well. Remember to sign up to the GP in the city of the uni. Freshers' flu is a real thing. But yeah, that's about it for the first half, I suppose. I'll move on to kind of the academic side of things now. We'll do questions at the end. Yeah. Okay, so academics. Right, okay. Yeah, main differences to A-level. I'll keep it as generic as possible, not history. Yeah, you're not really spoon-fed. You're not really spoon-fed as much, maybe at A-level, a lot of independent work, and your lecturers aren't going to know you as personally as a teacher does. But yeah, that's just part and part of being at university, I suppose. You need to plan your own schedule a lot more. Make sure you meet deadlines. Take a day at the start of term, you know, work out when things are due, make a rough timetable. At the start of every week, I'd make like a week timetable and daily tasks, what I want to do. No one's going to be chasing you up to do things. You've got to do it yourself. Self-motivating, really. Humanities people or social sciences, you'll have a reading list. So, you know, you can't read everything on that list. So prioritize quite well. Read what's relevant for you in your essay. Yeah, it's not about how much you read. It's more like how well you engage with what you're actually reading, how well you think about it. Unless you do English, you're probably not going to need to read a book like cover to cover. Read like the intro, conclusion. That'll give you the argument of the book, and then pick any relevant chapters. Yeah, an author will probably write like an article before they write a whole book on that thing. So maybe find that article if you can, be a bit easier and quicker to read. That'll get the main gist of what they're trying to say. And then you always find the book to get a bit more like knowledge if needed. Book reviews, they're great to read, get you thinking quite critically as well. But yeah, get good at reading quickly, I'd say. If something's not relevant, read the first like sentence of every paragraph until you find the bit that is really relevant for you. Your time is precious. Yeah, and then plagiarism is a big thing in, well, every subject, I suppose. Note down like, you know, the author, the page number, title of the book, publisher, etc. Because you don't want to get caught out basically, and you don't want to have to spend hours figuring out where you read that information from. Sciences people and people who do maths, I suppose, it's a lot more in depth, I'm told, than A-level, which would be expected. Like for maths, for instance, you know, it's quite proof heavy, I think. You've got to set your work out clearly, and there's going to be stuff you don't get early on, but just keep trying with it and it'll get easier, you know, the more you do it. And then referencing, most subjects, probably not maths, but like, you know, get good at the referencing style your department wants, because you're going to do it a lot. So yeah, ask if you don't know. Your lecturers will be happy to explain things. Yeah, right. Module choices. I imagine you've probably already picked a lot of them, but you'll get more specialized as your degree goes on. Yeah, you might already know what you love in your subject, you might not, that's fine. Yeah, just like be open-minded. A great lecturer can really like change your perspective on something. So yeah, just yeah, try and embrace it and enjoy it as best you can. Right, so lectures, they might be online, they might not be. Not really sure what's happening this year. If they're online, might be pre-recorded, so you can watch them whenever you like. They might be live. You have to log on. If they're in person, it could be between like 50 to like a couple hundred people in there. Depends how many people get out of bed, I suppose, and depends on the module. They're not compulsory for most subjects, but I'd recommend going, especially when you like, if you took the time to work out how much each lecture costs for, you know, your £9 grand, you'd definitely go to all of them, I think. Yeah. They're there to give you an introduction to things. They're not everything you need to know on the topic. You can go and read more or, you know, do more questions on it to really understand it. When you're in there, you obviously make notes. I made them by hand. A lot of people use their laptops. Find what works for you, give both a try. Just write down the relevant points. I know at the time, you'll be there in your first lecture thinking everything's relevant. You get better as you go along, knowing what's important and what's not. The PowerPoints will probably be a lot more in depth than mine are, and they'll be available online. You can watch them after, or they might be available before. You can get a flavour of what the lecture is going to be. If there's any pre-reading set for your lecture, unless you've been told it's compulsory, it's not going to be. And if you've got the time, do it. If you've not, don't worry about it. Just be up to date on the module, kind of know what's going on. Like if you do a science subject, they're going to introduce a new concept. Probably helps to know the concept before. For history, it's quite important, obviously, chronologically, to know what's happened before. But yeah, seminars are where I found like most of my learning kind of happened, I suppose. Might be called tutorials, and then people who do like, I know, chemistry, you'll also have labs, which are, you'll be doing sciencey stuff. These will be compulsory to attend. If you don't attend, I think you get a warning, and then they'll kind of chase you up. But yeah, you'll have set reading or set homework questions for these groups of like 5 to 15 people. Yeah, and they're really good, have you say your opinion. If you don't understand something, ask, they're there, the people running the seminar are there to help you. They'll probably be about an hour long, I imagine, first year, which is a lot nicer than the prospect of a 3-hour seminar like I'll have this year. But yeah, go to all of them, enjoy them as best you can, and speak up. It's really quite rewarding. Hopefully they're in person for you, because Zoom seminars are an absolute nightmare. Wi-Fi goes all the time, and then breakout rooms are just awful. So yeah, best of luck for them. Office hours, if you've heard of these are kind of an hour, 2 hours each week, where your professor, lecturer will have timetabled. You can go and speak to them. Some require you to book, whether that be online or send them an email. Others, you just knock on their door, go in for a chat, or log on to a Zoom waiting room. This is your chance, if you don't understand something, you can go and ask them. They'll explain it one-on-one. Might want to test out an essay idea, might want more feedback on an essay. They're there to help you, really. They want you to do well. And yeah, I suppose you're paying for it at the end of the day. Yeah, some lecturers will really push their own research, especially like they'll get you to try and buy their book. Others are a lot more low-key. It's more just quite amusing, to be honest. Yeah, I'll move on. What's the next slide saying? Okay. Formatives and summatives. Yeah, I don't know if different universities have different names for it, but this is like the different type of work. So formative is not compulsory, because there's no real punishment for not doing it. It's more there to help your own learning. You'll get feedback on it. It doesn't count towards your overall grade for that year or your degree. Whereas summative work does count. Summative work contributes to your overall grade and degree. Yeah, your first year, I imagine, like most unis, won't count towards your overall grade. So, really, even if it's a summative during your first year, it doesn't particularly count. So do your best. Don't get too disappointed if you don't do well early on. Take the feedback and, go again on that next piece of work. I don't know if you're familiar with the grading system, but over 40 is a pass. 40 to 50, I think, is a third. 50 to 60, 2-2, 60 to 70, 2-1, and then anything above 70 is a first. Don't be disheartened if you don't do well early on. I mean, for like context on essay subjects, over 80 is really deemed like a publishable kind of level. So it's obviously extremely difficult to attain. And don't be put off by any like ruthless kind of feedback. They can be quite blunt at times. I think nearly every time I used a semicolon in my first year, it got circled that I used it wrong, which is interesting. But yeah, if you want more feedback, you know, go and ask for it. Just because they're blunt, it doesn't mean you've done necessarily bad. They're just obviously marking quite a lot of work, and probably get quite annoyed by kind of little errors, I suppose. Yeah, I put exams on there, not to freak anyone out, more as like a don't stress. Don't know if they're going to be in person or online. But yeah, everyone's in the same boat with it. You'll get told what's on the exam. Well, not, you won't get told like what's on the exams in the actual like content, but you'll get told what you need to learn for it. So, you know, you'll be fine. It's months away. Just enjoy yourself, you know, work hard, and everything else will kind of fall into place. I suppose the main thing, as it's capitalized, is like ask for help if you need it. You know, if you're struggling, go to your module leader, go to your academic tutor, you know, ask for help. If you can't find something in the library, go to the librarian. They'll help you. They're more than happy to talk to you about things. Each department will have things in place to support you with your work. But that said, help yourself as best you can, you know, manage your time well, don't leave things too last minute. Easier said than done, I might add. And yeah, if you need an extension for something, like make sure it's a good excuse. A cold or freshers flu isn't a good excuse. They'll expect you to, like, you know, plan your time well. Again, like printer issues, not an excuse. You know, if you had to go to hospital or whatever, good excuse. And yeah, if you use Turnitin, mainly for probably more humanities subjects, it can be a tad temperamental. So, you know, leave plenty of time to upload your essay. And yeah, that's it from me, I think. So yeah, if anyone has any questions, we'll do our best to answer them, I suppose.
I've got one. What was the highlight of your first few weeks in your first year?
Highlight, oh gosh. I don't know. I would say probably not Freshers Week, but more like a few weeks after that, like probably a month or two in, you've kind of met more people that you get on very well with, and then like just spending a lot of time with them. It's hard to pinpoint like any specific like day, but it's more like you kind of sit back and realize, yeah, I'm really enjoying it. But it's kind of quite nice, and you kind of like more relaxed, I suppose. It's quite a nice feeling to have.
So the point where you sort of felt that you'd really settled in.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it happens at different paces for everyone. So just don't worry about it. It'll happen eventually and you'll be fine.
We've got a comment here thanking you for all your advice in the chat.
Perfect. Yeah. Best of luck with it for everyone, really.